In August of 1989, a woman was stabbed in the driveway of her quiet suburban neighborhood as she prepared to leave for work in Durham, while her toddler slept upstairs in the home. Despite police receiving tips that generated a drawing of the main suspect in his vehicle, the case quickly went cold and remains unsolved to this day. We'll also discuss the recent disappearance of a North Carolina man who traveled to Florida with the hopes of reconnecting with family members. After texting his mother for help not long after leaving on the road trip, he went missing for several days before being discovered deceased in a retention pond. We'll discuss what investigators believe happened to the 18-year-old. There is much to love about North and South Carolina, but the two states have also had their fair share of violent and senseless crimes over the years. From murders on the Blue Ridge Parkway, in the heart of big cities or sleepy college towns, and along the coastal waters, some of these stories may be new to you. Some may have happened in your town. Some may involve people that are still missing to this day. But all will leave you remembering to always be vigilant about the people you meet and the places you go. I'm Renee Robertson. Please join me for Missing in the Carolinas. Episode 152, The Unsolved Murder of Cynthia Kirk and the Death of Giovanni Pelletier. A few weeks ago, I received an email from a listener named Ashley Hester. She said her father, Detective T.A. Hester, had worked for the Durham Police Department for 30 years. While Ashley's father is now deceased, there was one case in particular he was never able to solve that really ate away at him. It was the homicide I'm bringing to you today, so many thanks to Ashley for letting me know about it. On Monday, August 21st, 1989, the quiet Durham neighborhood of American Village was stunned when a 34-year-old mother was found murdered in her home. Cynthia Kirk, a married mother of a 19-month-old daughter, worked as a second-shift supervisor at the tobacco company Liggett and Myers. Normally, she would pack a diaper bag for her daughter, Suzanne, before taking her over to a babysitter's house around 2:15 p.m. But on the afternoon of August 21st, Cynthia, known as Cindy to her friends and family, and Suzanne never arrived at the babysitter's home. Concerned, the sitter tried to call Cindy. When she couldn't reach her, she phoned Cindy's sister, Beverly Seckler, who lived nearby. When Beverly arrived at the home on Constitution Drive around 3:30 p.m., she knew something was terribly wrong when she saw blood on the driveway and side porch of the home. Nervous, she asked one of her sister's neighbors to go into the house. That neighbor found Cindy lying in the doorway leading into the kitchen, covered in blood. Investigators later determined Cindy had been stabbed several times in the chest. There was no sign of an attempted sexual assault. Nothing had been taken from the home. Her daughter Suzanne was still sleeping in her bedroom upstairs and had been unharmed. It appeared that Cindy was packing up her car with Suzanne's belongings when she was confronted by her attacker. Her purse was found on the passenger side of the car. The attack occurred around 1 p.m. in the afternoon in a neighborhood not far from the Duke University campus, and in the presence of both a landscaping and construction crew on the street. According to media reports, it was a landscaper who gave the police their most solid lead. He had seen Cindy in her driveway, talking to a clean-cut, middle-aged white male who he later saw driving away from the street in an olive green sedan. Cindy and her husband Bill regularly attended Grace Baptist Church in Durham, and their pastor at the time, Dr. Frank Zedek, said the other community members were shaken by the news of Cindy's murder. He said, "I think it's upset a lot of people not only in the church, but in the entire community who have felt secure in the past and have discovered they're more vulnerable than they thought they were." The pastor also said he believes Cindy did everything she could to protect the safety of her daughter, who was still inside the house when the attack began. Interestingly enough, in the August 24th, 1989 edition of the Durham Sun, the paper ran a news brief titled, "Durham ranks 27th in best living areas." The Greater Durham Chamber of Commerce said Durham and the Triangle had ranked 27th on Money Magazine's list of the 300 best places to live in the United States. This article ran on the front page of the paper that day, along with an article about the ongoing investigation into Cindy Kirk's murder. By early October, members of Cindy's family were offering $25,000 for information leading to the arrest and indictment of her killer. GKC Associates, the employer of Cindy's husband Bill, offered up to $5,000 for information leading to an arrest and indictment. Liggett and Myers Tobacco Company also offered up to $5,000 in reward money for information leading to the arrest, indictment, and conviction of the murderer. Crime Stoppers announced it would pay up to $1,200 for information leading to an arrest and conviction. Cynthia's brother-in-law, Gary Seckler, who was married to her sister Beverly, also worked at Liggett and Myers. He told the media, "You could think of all the superlatives you could say about somebody, and you could say them about her, and they would apply." Tim Bass of the News and Record shared in a September 1989 article that Cindy Kirk had always loved mysteries. She checked out mystery novels from her local library and loved the TV shows Murder, She Wrote and Perry Mason. Cindy was born Cynthia Lou Jones and was raised in the Sandy Ridge community of western Guilford County. She met her husband, Bill, when they sat near one another in first grade at Colfax Elementary School. While they didn't date while they were in high school, they reconnected years later after Cindy went off to study textiles at NC State University, and Bill went into the Air Force. After Cindy graduated from college in 1977, they began dating exclusively. They married on June 13, 1981, at Smith Grove Baptist Church in Sandy Ridge. Bill told the News and Record, "It was like two pieces making up one part. She was the best girl I ever knew, and that's why I married her." They settled in Durham after living in Pittsboro and Cary. They favored staying at home but liked going out to dinner with friends and attending church together at Grace Baptist Church, where Cindy sometimes volunteered in the nursery. When the couple had Suzanne, they shared parenting responsibilities equally, with Cindy staying with their daughter until dropping her off at the babysitter's house before 3 p.m. Bill, who worked at a consulting and structural engineering firm, picked her up around 5:30 p.m., caring for her until Cindy returned home from her shift around 11. After Cindy's death, Bill told the News and Record, "The thing that this person did to Cindy is just pure evil. It is a mystery as to who did this, but I know it will be solved." In the weeks following Cindy's murder, her neighbors in American Village were understandably concerned. American Village was comprised of around 200 homes, including the Cape Cod-style house Cindy and Bill lived in at the time of her murder. Members of the police department attended a meeting of the American Village Women's Club on September 11, 1989, to try and dispel any rumors that residents had heard and had questions about. Police Corporal F.J. Borden, the Crime Stoppers coordinator, said the police department didn't believe Cindy was murdered by a homicidal maniac acting at random. They assured the more than 70 residents who attended that police had increased patrols in the neighborhood. The residents gathered said they felt more relieved after the meeting and had begun forming a neighborhood watch. In mid-September 1989, police began circulating a flyer that featured a drawing of the suspect in Cindy's murder. He was a white male in his mid-30s to early 40s, medium height and weight. He had dark hair. The flyer also contained a description of the olive green car with a CB antenna the suspect was believed to have been driving on that afternoon. It resembled a Plymouth Reliant. Detective T.A. Hester said detectives had followed up on numerous tips, but none had led to a suspect. "We don't know who did it," he said, "but we know of a lot of people who didn't do it." Police had checked out more than 300 reports of olive green cars in the state, and they distributed flyers in nearby shopping malls, convenience stores, and Duke University. Despite a door-to-door canvass and search for a murder weapon or any other physical evidence in the crime, police were unable to uncover any other clues other than the suspect and description of his vehicle. They wondered if Cindy had died as the result of a botched attempted abduction. In mid-March 1990, detectives with the Durham Police Department constructed a timeline and reenactment of what they believed happened on the afternoon Cindy was murdered. Here's what they told reporters. Cindy was getting ready to go to her second shift job at Liggett and Myers Tobacco Company. Suzanne was still asleep in her second-floor bedroom. Cindy came out the side door of the house by the kitchen and put a diaper bag in her purse on the passenger seat of the car between 1:30 and 2:15 p.m. Then she locked her car. A man had parked his car across the street at the end of the Kirk's driveway. He approached Cindy, and police had a theory on what he might have said to her based on the eyewitness accounts. They envisioned the conversation going something like this. "Excuse me, ma'am, can you help me? I'm from out of town, and I have relatives living on Constitution Drive, and I can't find their house." The two spoke briefly in the driveway, and there didn't appear to be any tension between them. Then the man grabbed Cindy around the neck and shoved her to the ground. She was stabbed in the chest and back, suffering a defensive wound to her thumb. She screamed loudly during the attack, and someone in the neighborhood did report hearing it later. They thought it was a child who had been hurt and couldn't tell where the screams were coming from. Cindy managed to make it back to the side door leading into the kitchen. As she was doing this, her attacker got back into his car and drove off in a normal manner. He was seen turning right onto Westfield Drive. Detective Hester said the total attack took place in under 2 minutes. Then Cindy managed to get her door open and crawl inside. She succumbed to her injuries. Detectives had a hard time finding any other eyewitnesses during the afternoon of the murder, as many neighbors were either out of town, at work, or at the local swimming pools. They did talk to people from the Postal Service, utility companies, and construction workers. It was a tip from a landscaper that gave them their most solid lead. In June of 1990, the Durham Police Department told the media they believed they had a new lead in the stabbing death of Cindy Jones Kirk. A woman from Burlington in Alamance County told police that on August 3, 1989, 18 days before Cindy was murdered, a white male came to her door around 1:30 p.m. and told her he had run out of gas. He needed to borrow some money. The man the Burlington woman described matched the description of the suspect in Cindy's murder. She described him as being a white male, between 38 and 40 years of age, standing around 5 foot 8 inches to 5 foot 10 inches tall. He was clean cut and wearing khaki pants and a light colored knit golf shirt. He was driving an olive green 4-door Chrysler with the CB antenna on the back. She said she had seen part of the license plate and caught the numbers 6466. The new eyewitness said she believed the man was lying about being out of gas because his car was in her driveway and there was a gas station not far from her home. But she was in a hurry to get to an appointment, so she gave him some money. When she saw an article in the Greensboro News and Record about the police describing the reenactment of Cindy's murder, she remembered the man and decided to contact the police. Because of Alamance County's proximity to Durham, the police believed this could be a solid lead. Was the suspect working up his nerve to commit murder in this August 8th visit? After 1991, it was difficult to find information about the status of this cold case until 2009, when the local news station WRAL covered the story. It shared the details of the murder and that Cindy's husband Bill had been ruled out as a suspect because he'd been at work. The police were never able to uncover a motive in the murder or find the suspect from the composite sketch. In 2019, reporter Amanda Lamb ran another update, this time featuring an interview with Beverly and Gary Seckler, Cindy's sister and brother-in-law, who've since moved to Pennsylvania. The Secklers told WRAL that they believe someone who knew Cindy's schedule and daily habits murdered her. They did say they had questions about Bill, Cindy's husband, because he remarried not long after her death and collected $400,000 in life insurance after the murder. The Secklers believe police should interview people in the Kirk's inner circle to see if anyone knew anything. Bill Kirk told Amanda Lamb that he'd made peace with his former wife's death and that he would never forget the traumatic event, but he's accepted that if the killer is still alive, he will never be caught. The case remains open. I reached out to the Durham Police Department to see if they had any comment on the investigation, but have yet to hear back from them. Before we continue, let's take a quick break for a word from our sponsors. I had been unhappy with my old podcast host for a while and was looking for other options. I discovered Riverside FM and learned that for one low monthly fee, it would help me record the podcast and utilize video capabilities. It uses AI technology to easily create clips from each episode that I can then share on my social media accounts. I don't consider myself very tech savvy, but audio and video editing with Riverside FM software has been a breeze, and I actually look forward to recording days now. If you are looking for a company that will help you with all your podcasting, webinar, and video needs, I encourage you to check out Riverside FM. You won't be disappointed. I'll include a link for you in the show notes. After several years of using the products, I'm still singing the praises of the Skin X Aaron products offered by Midnight Riff. I love Aaron Sanderson's skincare line so much, I became an ambassador so I could earn a small commission off telling everyone just how much I appreciate the Pre-Cleanse Oil, Hydrating Beauty Oil, and Perfecting Night Oil. My skin is acne-free, even in the throes of perimenopause, and looking brighter and more youthful than ever. And don't just take my word for it. Here are a few recent reviews from other people who love the products just as much as I do. Leah says, I have been using the 3-piece set for a few years now. I can't live without it. It truly is the holy grail of skincare. My skin is so soft and healthy. I'm a lifelong user. I love it. Another user wrote, I love this oil. I'm 47 and my skin soaks it up. I've been using it for many years now, so it's like hot sauce. I use it on everything. Itchy knees, cuts on my hand, my daughter's dry lips, and of course, my face. Now I'm ready for the groupie-sized gallon bottle. On average, the oils last around 3 months, and despite their names, they won't make your skin oily. Try them out for yourself with my code MissingCarolinas10 for 10% off your order. I'll put a link in the show notes. And now, let's get back to the show. Next, I want to talk about a young North Carolina man who went missing from Florida while on a trip with some family members that he didn't know very well. This is one of those missing persons cases that quickly spread around on social media, so at first I hoped it wouldn't take long for the young man to be found. 18-year-old Giovanni Pelletier was from Fuquay-Varina and visiting Inglewood, Florida with his mother and her fiancé earlier in August. Giovanni had been born in Florida and lived there until he was 4 years old. His father was incarcerated in the area, so Giovanni couldn't visit him, but did want to reconnect with his cousins on that side of the family. About 25 minutes after Giovanni left with a cousin and 2 of his cousin's friends to make the 3-hour drive to their house in Brevard County, he sent his mom a text that read simply, "Help me." He apparently messaged other family members with the same plea. His cousin and friends later told Giovanni's mother that he'd begun acting erratically before getting out of the car near State Road 70 in Manatee County. Giovanni's cousin cooperated with the investigators trying to find the 18-year-old and had a strange tale about how the events leading up to Giovanni's disappearance unfolded. The investigation detailed that Giovanni had been texting with his cousin about wanting to smoke marijuana because he hadn't had any for a while due to court issues he was facing back in North Carolina. The group did begin smoking in the car not long after they picked him up, and the cousin told detectives that Giovanni had begun tripping and acting erratically not long after. They made one stop along I-75 so Giovanni could use the bathroom, and he continued raging when he got back into the car. One of the passengers in the vehicle quoted Giovanni as saying, "I am a demon and I will wreck this car." The driver of the car pulled over and Giovanni got out and began running in the southbound lanes of I-75. Then he ran into the northbound lanes where he was almost hit by a truck. He had left his backpack and cell phone behind in the car, and the cousin and friends left his belongings on the side of State Road 70. Around 2:30 a.m., the cousin called his grandfather to let him know Giovanni had gotten out of the car. He tried to call Giovanni's mother a few minutes later, but she didn't answer, probably because it was so early in the morning. They continued driving toward Brevard County without Giovanni. They tried to call his mother again around 7 in the morning, and this time she answered. She called 911 and asked them to do a wellness check near the area where her son had gotten out of the car. Meanwhile, a trucker had seen Giovanni's backpack and cell phone on the side of I-75 and picked it up. Giovanni's mother could see that her son's phone was moving, but didn't know he wasn't with it. The phone and backpack were eventually recovered by the police. On Friday, August 8th, during a search, a family friend found a partially submerged body in a retention pond near the intersection of I-75 and State Road 70 in Manatee County. On August 14th, that body was positively identified as Giovanni Pelletier. About a week after his body was discovered, the local sheriff's office released a video that shared what was happening in the moments after Giovanni exited the car. His cousin turned over the vehicle they'd all been riding in to be processed. When investigators looked at surveillance footage from video cameras near the area, they could see Giovanni running alone towards the retention pond in the moments after he exited the car. Toxicology reports have been ordered, but no results have been released at this time. His official cause of death remains undetermined pending those toxicology results. Officials have said they have discovered no signs of foul play or signs of trauma to Giovanni's body. I'll keep you updated as we learn more about Giovanni's cause of death and the investigation. This brings us to the conclusion of Missing in the Carolinas. I will share the composite drawing of the suspect in Cindy Kirk's death from 1989 on the social media channels for the podcast following the release of this episode. If you enjoyed this episode, please do me a favor and give it a 5-star rating wherever you listen to your podcasts. We're also on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube, so please like our pages and get started on a discussion of the missing people profiled on the show. Do you know of a missing persons case in North or South Carolina that you think should be covered? Email me at missinginthecarolinas@gmail.com with any details you can share. Cover art for this podcast was designed by Macintosh Multimedia. All episodes are researched and written by me, Renee Robertson, with sound editing provided by Daniel Robertson. Thanks so much for listening.